So about mid last year, I stopped using Instagram for about 2 months. Like I completely disabled my account. I did not even go on Instagram for 2 months. And before that point, I was using Instagram since like 2016. I was pretty late to join like the Instagram trend and create an account. Like by that point, pretty much everyone in my high school was using Instagram and I was pretty much just on Facebook. But anyway, so when I went off Instagram for like 2 months, I was pretty much using it every single day up to that point. Like there were times in the past couple of years where I tried to like delete the app, but I would always like mindlessly re-download the app and like start scrolling and using it again. So this was the first time where I actually like took a proper break off Instagram for a while. And I realized many things about how Instagram was like impacting my life, kind of controlling my life. And I'll share them with you in this video. So I guess the first thing I realized was, this one's like pretty strange, but basically one of the reasons why I was so hesitant to disable Instagram, like get rid of the app, get rid of my account for 2 months, was because I was scared I would feel some massive FOMO. Like I was thinking like, okay, what if someone who I haven't seen in a while messages me and asks me to hang out again? You know, what if someone tries to reconnect with me and I miss out on it? What if like I see someone's story and they're doing something amazing, they've got like an amazing opportunity for me and I'm gonna miss out on that opportunity? You know, what if I miss out seeing all the cool stuff everyone I know is doing, right? These were my fears that I had. These were the main reasons why I didn't want to disable Instagram, right? Like I was okay not going onto Instagram Reels. I was okay not like, you know, looking at a bunch of random accounts. But it was mainly the FOMO that I was scared of. But what I realized was this FOMO was not real. Here's why. So basically I feel like, okay, I'm going to miss out on these people messaging me and trying to contact me, right? But then I thought, wait a minute, has anyone ever done that? Has anyone on my Instagram actually tried to like reach out to me and contact me and, you know, meet up? Or has anyone given me an opportunity on Instagram? Because I've got about, you know, my Instagram is just a personal Instagram. It's just all the people I've met in my life following me, I'm following them. So I've only got like, you know, 500 followers or something. Never, like only a couple times, maybe like once a year, once every 2 years probably, does someone actually reach out to me? Or do I see like an opportunity on Instagram, right? So the FOMO that I was thinking I would feel, like I thought I was gonna miss out on a bunch of stuff in 2 months. But then I realized that it's only about once a year that I actually get like an opportunity from Instagram. So I'm getting one opportunity a year from Instagram and I'm wasting probably hundreds of hours a year on this app. So the return on investment, spending hundreds of hours of time for like one kind of like okay opportunity a year, I realized that that's not even worth it. So I'm actually not missing out on anything, right? And actually, the FOMO I was feeling went away. So here's what I mean. When you're on Instagram, right, and you're looking at people's stories and you're looking at people's posts, you're feeling FOMO. You're like, oh my gosh, like these guys that I know are having so much fun on a Friday night and I'm sitting in on my own just like working on my stuff. Or it's like, oh damn, these guys are having so much fun traveling around Greece and here I am in my boring city. You know, you feel this FOMO when you see people's stories, when you see their posts on Instagram. And I realized that the only reason you feel that FOMO, you feel like you're missing out on stuff, is because you're being exposed to it. You're literally seeing it in front of your eyes, right? You feel FOMO missing out on a party, not because you want to go to the party, but because you see a story of the party, right? So what I realized was FOMO is not actually real. Like for example, right? There are billions of people in the world, right? But you don't feel FOMO for all those billions of people. You only feel FOMO for very specific people who you see on your stories, right? So you're not actually scared of missing out on fun, amazing events. You're just scared of missing out on this one specific event because that's what you're being exposed to, right? If you were not exposed to that event on your story on your Instagram, you would not feel FOMO towards it. And that's exactly what I realized when I deleted my Instagram for 2 months. I basically stopped feeling FOMO. I wasn't thinking, oh damn, you know, I want to go to this random party on this Friday night. Damn, I wish I was there with John right now. Like FOMO completely went away. So I realized that FOMO is not real. The only reason you feel FOMO is because you're on Instagram. So that's how these apps get you. They make you feel like you're missing out when you're not on the apps, when it's actually the complete opposite. You're missing out on the real world when you're on these apps. Well, when you use them a lot and you get pulled into them, right? Like I'm sure some people use it in a healthy way, but I'm talking about like how it makes you feel FOMO. It makes you feel like you're missing out when you're using these apps. Like before I got Instagram, I did not really feel FOMO at all because I wasn't looking at people's stories. I wasn't looking at people's posts. It wasn't until I actually got Instagram, that's when I started feeling FOMO in my life. So that's one thing I realized, like FOMO is not exactly real. And the other thing is like, okay, one of the biggest reasons I hear that people use Instagram is they're like, oh, but
I can keep in contact with all the hundreds of people in my life. I can keep a nice network of people.
it's a very convenient way for me to stay connected with everyone in my life, right? But here's the thing. Do you actually want to stay connected with all those people? Let's say you have 500 followers on Instagram, right? How many of those people are you never going to meet up with ever again in your life? Probably like 400 of them, right? So probably about 80% of the people who you follow, you're never going to meet again. So why do you want to keep them in your network? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're sustaining a network that's not even a network. It's just a collection of random people. Like, those 80% of people who you're never going to see again, they may as well be random guys in Africa or something, right? You may as well just be following like random guys who live in random cities around the world. Because these are people who technically aren't even a part of your network. They're just random people who the only reason you're following them is because you just happened to meet them sometime in the past, right? So you're spending a lot of energy focused on these people who basically will never be in your life, to be honest. So what I realized was when I stopped using Instagram for the 2 months, I completely forgot a ton of people existed. Like, the only reason I remembered that 80%, most of my followers, the only reason I remembered they existed while I used Instagram was because I was being reminded of their existence every single day. Like, every day I was seeing like, oh, Bob is on a plane, Bob is living in Tokyo, Bob is in Shanghai, I was getting reminded of what these people in my life were up to. But when I stopped getting these daily reminders, the thought of them just completely disappeared from my mind. And if you're not being reminded of someone and they disappear from your mind, then they're not people that you want to have in your life anyway, right? So what's the point of keeping yourself connected with them if you have to like force yourself to stay connected with them, right? You may as well have like a book of everyone you've ever met and read it every single day and like memorize the people in your life, right? That's basically what you're doing. So that's another thing I realized when I stopped using Instagram. The majority of people that you're following, you don't actually really care about. You're not actually going to connect with in the future. So like, what's the point of even following them? What's the point of keeping them updated in your life? It's basically a waste of time, a waste of energy that you could use towards the people you actually care about or towards the things that you actually do care about. That's another thing I noticed. And another really big thing that I noticed, this is a pretty obvious one, but I'll go in a bit more into depth in this one because this is an interesting one. It saved me so much time, right? Mainly Instagram Reels, but also Instagram Stories. Basically, like, when I was just sitting down, like on my bed, when I was just sitting down on the couch, I would mindlessly pull out my phone and just start scrolling on Instagram Reels or just start scrolling on the stories or whatever. And it feels like it doesn't take a lot of time, right? Because Reels are what, like 30 seconds long? So it feels like, oh damn, I've got 5 minutes, I can just like spend them on Reels right now. But here's the thing, you don't just spend 5 minutes on the Reels. If you're sitting down to go on Reels for like 5 minutes, you always end up spending like 15, 20 minutes on them, right? And if you're doing this like a couple times throughout the day, you're deleting like many hours from your day. Like, I checked my screen time. I thought I was just using Reels a couple times a day, but I was spending like 2, 3, sometimes even 4 hours on Instagram a day. And it was just like tiny pockets of time throughout my day just being deleted like that. And here's the thing, when you go onto Reels, when you go on to do something like that, it's not that you just lose 15 minutes, right? You're on the app for 15 minutes. It's not that you just lose 15 minutes. Because after that 15 minutes, it'll take you 15, 20 minutes to get back into the flow, to get back into the focus with whatever you were doing, right? Let's say you were studying and you take a break from studying to go onto Instagram. When you come back to studying, it's going to take you 10, 15, 20 minutes to get back into that peak focus mode. So actually, you're deleting much more time than you realize. You are deleting the time that you actually spend on the app, but then you're deleting the time when the app pulls your momentum away from your day. So that was another big thing. It was taking away chunks of my time, chunks of my attention throughout the day. But here's another problem I realized. Basically, when I stopped using Instagram Reels, I started using YouTube Shorts a lot more. So what I realized was, yeah, you can just delete the app, you can just delete Instagram from your life, but you're not fixing the underlying problem because you're just gonna shift to a new addiction, a new distraction, right? So like, there is like a deep underlying problem that you have to fix. You can't just fix like the real addiction because you're just gonna switch to YouTube Shorts, right? So that's a side thing. Maybe I'll talk about it some other time, but that was just something I noticed. I went from an Instagram addiction to a YouTube addiction basically for a bit. Although it wasn't as bad because I think YouTube Shorts, something about it, it's much worse. I don't know. But here's the final thing I'll mention for this video. I'm back on Instagram now, right? Like I use it more mindlessly, I like to think. I still waste time on it for sure, but not as much as I used to. But why have I not just completely deleted my Instagram? Well, because, okay, part of this is cope. I do still kind of just like distract myself on Instagram and use it and like waste time and like use it for lame reasons and stuff. But also I think social media is like one of the biggest opportunities of our generation. Like social media is a completely like new economy that has been developed. Like you can go into social media and make money, you know, connect with people, build a network, do so many things. It's called the creator economy. I don't know if you've ever looked into it, but the creator economy. It's like a completely new economy online. That's what social media is. It's like a whole new online community. And I think, like, based on my current understanding, it is like one of the biggest opportunities of this generation. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I have a YouTube channel here and I post, because I think it's an amazing opportunity that like everyone can get into. So I do think that Instagram, if you use it in a smart way, you can really change your life with it, right? So I think the problem is there's one side to Instagram usage where you can like build a business out of it, build a following, you know, do a lot of great things with it, make money or whatever. Or there's this other side where you can like completely delete all your social medias, live in the natural world, you know, never go onto social media or whatever. And I think these are both, there's arguments for each, and they can all both be very respectable paths. But I think the problem is many people exist in this kind of middle ground where they're not using it for business, they're not using it for opportunities, and they're not living in the natural world. They're kind of like halfway in between where they've got like a couple hundred followers. They're just distracting themselves on Instagram. They're not really using it to connect to people. They feel like they are, but it's kind of a false sense of connection. So these are the people I think who have to like go either one way, in my opinion. They need to either completely get off the apps or start using it for like productive reasons, right? Because if you start considering, like in this video I've talked about, if you start considering the reasons why you're using Instagram, you realize that they're false reasons. Like the big one I mentioned was you feel like you're being connected with people, but you're not really. You're not really actually being connected with these people. You just feel like you are. And these apps are really good at this. They're really good at making you feel like you're missing out if you don't use them. They've completely like got us trapped, right? Like if you live in the modern day and you don't have a social media, it's kind of weird. You're seen as like an outsider. You feel like you're seriously missing out. They've literally like implanted this desire into us that we're missing out if we don't have these apps. And so these companies are literally like controlling us. Because the reality is like, you can still have an amazing social life, tons of friends, without these apps. I mean, phone numbers exist, right? So yeah, these are just some of my thoughts on social media when I stopped using it for 2 months. Yeah, let me know what you think. See you later.